be here all day if we read that thing again. Okay. Design fiction, design thinking, is a solution-based mentality for a very, very human problem. Most of the problems that we have in the world are about how do we fit ourselves into the environment that we exist in. And design thinking or design fiction is about projecting forward and trying to work backwards from a solution base of where do we want to be and how do we get there. It's a very human problem. The human problem we have in education is obviously kids. Obviously, how do we communicate everything across the kids? How do we get them to learn in the way that we want them to learn? How do we get them to produce for exams, for the meal tickets or the tickets to ride that they need to do to be able to move forward with their careers? And it's very, very tricky, especially in the time of AI. When I originally pitched this as the idea to come forward, is that about 3 months ago, and unfortunately AI has moved on a long way since that point. There was a certain approach I was going to take to design fiction here about how we implement AI in the classroom, and it's already being done. So just for the start, I'd like us to have a look at this video. It's only about a minute long, and look at how well AI has been implemented in a school in Austin, Texas.
Founder of Alpha Private School says it's actually the wave of the future.
What we do have is a lot of adults who are
I have no ability to make anything loud about myself.
It's clear on like what are some goals that they're working on.
If any tech person would like to...
How do they learn? The students work one-on-one with artificial intelligence.
They are the ones who messed up.
Level and pace that they
Well done,
It goes as far as historical figures explaining their own histories.
We believe that education should adapt to every student's unique needs and
Founder of Alpha Private School says it's actually the wave of the future.
What we do have is a lot of adults who are in the room engaging with these kids, working as coaches. So they're helping the kids get clear on like what are some goals that they're working on, what are they doing academically.
So how do they learn? The students work one-on-one with artificial intelligence for 2 hours at the start of the day.
So it's the educational information that regular schools are also teaching with, but AI apps are feeding them to students at the appropriate level and pace that they need.
It goes as far as historical figures explaining their own histories.
We believe that education should adapt to every student's unique needs and interests.
To basic comprehension quizzes. 5th grader Byron loves the instant feedback, which he says he didn't get in public school.
It explains a detailed explanation of why the correct answer is correct, not just saying, oh, here's your correct answer, you can answer the question this way next time.
Price says the lessons are customized for every student.
We can say, provide reading material at this certain lexile level, which is 8th grade, but appropriate for a 7-year-old kid.
I think it's making me actually learn things, not just looking at things I've already seen.
This style of learning goes from 12th grade down to kindergarten.
Did you meet your 2-hour learning goal today? Yes. Can everyone do some silent fireworks for Lola?
They learn more than twice as much as standard school does in 6th.
The style that they were talking about there is very much the style that we will be talking about in every other school. We'll be talking about over the next few years. And I think that perhaps that's one of the great conspiracy theories of our time. Whether you think the moon landings happened, whether you think we're covering up the JFK assassination, we definitely are, he lives in my building, all of that is secondary to the fact that by the time we got to the 1970s, we'd fixed how to educate people. We knew exactly what we were supposed to do. There are 5 paths to education that must be created in order for students to learn. We have to give them the relevant information. There's no point trying to teach them about Shakespeare and handing them Chaucer. It's not going to work. We have to engage them. We have to have something that makes them want to learn, to be interested, not to be sleeping in the back of the class. We have to give them the ability to practice with this, either through testing or through project-based learning or any of these other ways of doing it, and we need to provide them accurate feedback. And all of that, throughout our speeches today, throughout the talks, throughout the workshops, I'm sure we've all seen that this is easy for AI. AI can do all of this. We just had Martin Luther King talking to you there. Apparently he said something about education. I thought it was a mountaintop, but there we go. The simple point is the 5 out of the 6 are very easy to build. The 6th one is almost impossible. Psychological safety. If a student does not feel psychologically safe in the environment that they exist in, they will not move forward. And we heard that this morning from one of our panelists who was talking about wellness and that approach that everything from AI comes from the student. And that's the same thing as teachers we see in the class. Everything in the learning comes from the student. And Stephanie and I have been joking all day about the fact that we've been working on HL essays and TOK essays all week. But we can guarantee every time we're banging our heads on a desk, it's not because we didn't give them the information. It's because they didn't uptake the information. They didn't process the information. They are not able to regurgitate the information. And essentially, at some point, that means that not necessarily in our classes, I'm not dissing our approach to classes, but at some point, they did not feel comfortable enough to pause and take in the learning that they were being given. So, as a design fiction approach, what I thought we would do is try to reverse engineer that and work out how do we create the perfect psychological safety zone for students using AI. And to do this, I thought I would use my 3-year-old. Child labor is perfectly fine, right? There's not going to be a problem utilizing your child. I need to obviously work out how to get my child to move forward for the next 13 years so that she's successful in what we want her to do. That turns out to be Harvard. So 13 years from now, I want my daughter to go to Harvard Law School. This is the task that AI is going to be tasked with, and I'm going to do that by this little robot AI person who I'm imagining creating. 13 years, my daughter needs to be ready, and more than ready, she needs to be good enough to get into Harvard. I have 13 years, AI has 13 years to strategize this. I mean, how hard can it be? Seriously, Hannah, how hard can it be?
Very.
All right, so I've asked AI to reverse engineer this task to create the pathway that my daughter can get into Harvard. And it is identified as a first step, apparently, in its great wisdom, that she needs to learn Pythagoras' theorem. She's only 3, it feels like a big task, but nevertheless, she must learn this before she can move on. Sounds pretty difficult. Luckily, I have access to a wide range of technology that currently exists that is going to help the AI monitor every bit about it. I'm going to give her a Fitbit, which will monitor her Fitbit, by the way, for those young enough not to know what that is. Looking at Pearl here. You know what it is? Okay, just checking. Didn't know if it existed in your day. But it can measure your pulse, it can measure blood ox. What's the word I'm looking for, Hannah? Blood. Oh, there you go, that'll be it. It can measure how many steps you move, whether you're excited, it can measure the emotionality of it, it can measure pretty much most of the physiological responses you're doing. So, the AI is going to track her physiological responses constantly. She can wear this 24/7, which will also help me with sleep tracking. It'll make sure that she's getting the optimal amount of sleep. It'll make sure that she's going to bed at the right time. It'll switch everything off. Just won't give her anything if it's time for bed. By the way, it doesn't work. I've tried it. But nevertheless, it's going to try to achieve this. It's going to monitor her sleep patterns, monitor her pulse, monitor her dietary intake. It's going to check what she eats and whether it's the right brain foods that she's getting. I think some of you, most of you have seen the AI pin. I posted it on a few groups. It's a little pin that you stick on here. It's an AI, wearable AI. And one of the things that is most fun about it is you can hold something in your hand and say to it, how many calories is this? And it will see it, read it, and tell you. It'll tell you its fat content if you hold it, and it doesn't need to be like a Mars bar or something like that. Other chocolates are available. It could be just simply some nuts in your hand, pine nuts. And it will see them, read them, guess the weight of them, tell you what the fat content is, tell you what the protein content is, tell you how many you should eat. I'm going to make sure that AI does this and monitors every single thing that my daughter eats. It's also going to give her an exercise routine to make sure that she is maximizing her metabolism, that she is constantly getting that, what was it again, blood oxygen level, is that it? I'm not a bio teacher. She gave up. If I had given up on it that easy. So, it's going to measure everything about her physical approaches and design to optimize her ability to learn. Now, that also means it's going to need to monitor her social media. Not now, she doesn't have social media, but when she gets to 7 or 8 or 10 or whenever that's going to be at that age, she's going to have social media friends. So it's going to make sure that, first of all, lots of them are really good at math. It's going to block the people who are really bad at math and make sure that she only talks to smart people like Hannah. I'm just going to use Hannah for a while now. It'll also create bots that she doesn't know about, who ask her questions about Pythagoras' theorem. Of course it will. It will be monitoring everything that she sees, everything that she does, online and in person. That's not enough. That feels a bit cruel, right? I mean, I think at this point we're all feeling a bit uncomfortable with me using my daughter in this way. You're right, so I mean, we have to give her some entertainment. I'm going to let her watch, TV shows. Unfortunately, there'll be TV shows that are talking solely about Pythagoras' theorem. Now that sounds far-fetched, right? There is no Friends episode. Friends, by the way, for Bill. Friends was a TV show. So there is no Friends show where the one where they worked on Pythagoras' theorem. That's not going to be a problem. This, the first video, was created 18 months ago. It was written by AI.
Check this out. I got an audition today for a part that requires me to play a man with 3 breasts. Can you believe it?
The voices are AI.
No way. Yes, when? And get this, I have to recite a scene from 12th Night.
Oh man, that's hilarious. You better show me your audition when you're done.
Hey guys, do you have that book about dating?
Not now, Ross.
Sorry, just thought I could borrow it.
Yeah, but can't you see that I'm rehearsing for the role of a lifetime here?
And I'm trying to empathize with him.
That was written by AI. The voices were created by AI. The animation is appalling, right? But the script feels like an episode of Friends. 18 months later, this is what AI can create.
To offset this excessive love with better service.
18 months on, that is a one-line prompt.
Thanks, man. Now, where were we?
Of the Sora, which we heard a little bit about earlier today, OpenAI. And in one line, it creates the different types of videos, whether they be false animation or photorealistic conversations.
You don't give him any ideas.
And so, when my daughter gets to the age that she is able to start watching TV, AI will be creating shows with beloved characters and actors that she likes in order to simply keep forward with her education. She will never see an episode of anything, of Bluey or Friends or anything like this, that isn't specifically designed to move her forward. And she will not know the difference, and neither would I. I love this one, by the way. This is 2 ships fighting in a cup of coffee. I feel like that every morning. We can move forward. So, I've already invaded my daughter's personal space in terms of her physiological ability or input and output. I've already invaded her personal space in terms of all entertainment that she sees will be directed towards her learning outcomes. Now I want to finalize this by making sure she sees what I want her to see. So, we'll have wearables, contact lenses that again already exist in the technology, and if anybody's watched a Premier League game, you're going to understand this. I tried to explain this to my students this week, and let me see if we all know this. Every time you watch a Premier League game, you'll notice something weird. They're advertising things that you can only buy in India. On the side of the pitch, running down the side of the pitch, that's beer that you buy in India. And yet, if I'm at the game, that is not what I'm seeing. The one is overlaid over the other. Every advertisement is specific. So, my daughter will be in Times Square, and this is what she'll see. And she'll go, wow, they're advertising Pythagoras' theorem. By the way, do you want to see what I would see if I was looking at that? There you go. Same view, very different input. Advertising will be personal, and the AI will make sure that she's only getting input that is aligned to the learning she's engaged in. I can go one step further than this. I can make sure that when she's ready for a relationship in about 45 years, that she will date an AI bot. Perfectly fine by me. I'm happy to go with that right now. She will never meet a man. AI isn't simply about how do we use it in the classroom. It is the classroom. And it will be about making the classroom the world. One of the things that as schools we've had about, and to be honest, let's face it, we've had about 6,000 years of ownership of this. We get to decide what learning is. Parents have sent us their children, and we've helped them learn. Now that was true for Aristotle, or Plato, and true for all of the Greeks, all the way through the Dark Ages, where the church had to decide who learnt and who didn't, all the way up to now. The democratization of education is going to be the next step of AI. Everybody will have full access, and everybody will be able to learn all the time. When I put this to my students, I tried them out. I mean, again, I have no ethics. I tried this out on my students this week to see how they coped with this. Where's Nikhil gone? There he is. How did I go? Is that all right? And so I gave them the opposite design thing. I asked them, if this is the case, if I can do all of this, what is a teacher? What does a teacher become? AI can give you the relevance that you need, the relevant information. It can give you the engagement that you need. It can make it fun, sweet, cute, scary, or anything like that. It can adapt. I'm in a classroom, I'm adapting to 18 students. I can never adapt consciously to all of them at the same time. AI will. It will give feedback through friends. It will give application. But that psychological safety point is the one thing that's missing. And that's what my students saw this week when I asked them to design what the teacher of the future of the AI classroom would be. It'll be someone who provides psychological safety. And it already exists. Have a listen again to this and listen to the first thing that she says.
Julie, the wave of the future.
What we do have is a lot of adults who are in the room engaging with these kids, working as coaches. So they're helping the kids get clear on like what are some goals that they're working on.
That's the teacher of the future. The thing that we can change, that has been changed, that has been indelibly changed, whether it's now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or 30 years from now. What will indelibly change is that nobody is looking to us for the upload of information. First there were textbooks, then there was Microsoft Word, then there was Google search, and now, as Stephanie was drawing out at the beginning, there is AI, and it will give it better than I can do it. I forget who got killed in Romeo and Juliet. Who's the one who gets his friend who gets killed? Mercutio. See, I keep forgetting that. AI won't. Neither will Miss Steph. But the thing that cannot be provided is that ability to create psychological safety for a student. That ability to be the hand on the shoulder, the smile, the laugh, the cry with, and the commiserate with. Those are the skills that we will all need to perfect, to grow, to build. To put it in one word, empathy. Empathy will be how we judge teachers in the future. Not how good they are at TOK, not how well they know English literature. Not very well apparently, but doesn't matter. We'll be looking for people to be empathetic. And that's it. So 13 years from now, how do I get my daughter into Harvard? I just have to overtake all areas of her life, control everything about her, and then make sure that she has a guide by her side to help her go through that. And by the way, if you think, and I think we all felt that I'm being unethical to my daughter, two things. One, you haven't met her, you'd be unethical too. Two, every time you hire a coach, that's exactly what you do. Every time you sign up to, or you sign your kids up to be, we have students who are playing table tennis, going for the Olympics to play table tennis. That student's life is controlled within an inch. Of course it is. He's a professional sports person, gymnasts, swimmers. It's the closest thing you're going to see at the moment for what AI looks like. We happily surrender our kids to that all the time. And we will surrender our children to this, because frankly, it'll be a better way of learning than any other. What we're left with is the unindelible mark of human contact and empathy. Thank you all very much.